Today, we're going to talk about a case well, it's as heartbreaking as it is infuriating. This is the story of Yamini Priya, a young woman whose life was tragically cut short by an obsession that the system just failed to stop. So let's get into what really happened here. So let's set the scene. It's October 16th in the Malleswaram area. You know, it's one of those days that should have just been completely normal. A day that started with so much promise, but it was about to end in a way nobody could have imagined. Okay, so fast forward to about 2:30 in the afternoon. The phone rings at the Sri Ramparam police station. And this isn't just any call, it's urgent. Someone's made a discovery, and it's about to kick off a massive investigation. So the officers get the call, and they head out to the scene. It's near the railway tracks, right behind a local mall. And what they find, it's grim. In the bushes, they find a person, their face covered in red chili powder. There are clear injuries on their neck and face. They also find a bag nearby, and inside that bag, an ID card. And the phone number on that card, well, that was the number they had to call to deliver the most devastating news imaginable. And that ID, it belongs to a 20-year-old named Yamini Priya. Can you even imagine? Her family had just spoken to her a few hours earlier, and now they're being hit with a reality that no parent should ever have to face. So the big question, the one that hangs over everything, is what happened to Yamini Priya? All right, before we go any further, to really understand the weight of this loss, we have to talk about who Yamini was. I mean, she was a young woman with a whole life ahead of her, full of promise and dreams. Yamini came from a loving, middle-class family. Her dad, Gopal, worked as a tile installer, and her mom, Vara Lakshmi, was a homemaker. Yamini was their only daughter, and, she was pretty much the center of their world. All she wanted was to make them proud. And she was so dedicated, She had this big dream of becoming a doctor. Now, it didn't quite work out when she couldn't clear the medical entrance exam, but she didn't let that stop her. She wasn't one to give up. Instead, she pivoted. She enrolled in a bee farmer program, and her family was right there, supporting her all the way. Her life was pretty simple, really. Just home to college and college back home. But right across the street, living just opposite her house, was this guy, Vignesh. He's 28, unemployed, and the contrast between them is it's staggering. You've got Yamini working hard, building her future, and then you have Vignesh building this dangerous obsession with her. Their two worlds were unfortunately on a collision course. So let's get into how this one-sided fixation started to spiral out of control. It turned into something really terrifying for Yamini and her family, and it happened fast. Okay, so check out how quickly this escalated. It all starts during a festival. Vignesh tries to propose marriage to her right out of the blue with a sari and kumkum. Yamini is, as you can imagine, completely shocked. Then his family makes it official, they come with a formal proposal, and Yamini's parents shut it down immediately. Right after that rejection, his behavior just gets worse. The harassment, the stalking, it gets so bad that her dad has to start walking her to and from college every single day. So they do the right thing, right? They go to the police. But here's the thing, the police just take a written statement from him, a promise to stop. That's it, no real legal action. And this right here, is a massive point of failure. You see, in India, stalking is what's called a cognizable offense. So what does that mean? It means the police can arrest someone without a warrant. They are actually duty-bound to file an official report, an FIR, and investigate, even if the family doesn't want to press charges. They had the power and the responsibility to do more, and they didn't. So after the police gave him that warning, Vignesh actually seemed to disappear for a bit. He backed off. And for Yamini and her family, you can just imagine the relief. They must have thought, okay, it's over. The nightmare is done. She could finally just focus on her exams without looking over her shoulder. But that feeling of safety, it was a complete illusion. Yeah, because while everything seemed quiet on the surface, Vignesh wasn't just sitting around being angry about being rejected. No, he was planning. He was meticulously planning his revenge. And let's be crystal clear about this. This was not some spontaneous crime of passion. Not at all. This was cold and calculated. And how do we know? Well, there's proof. He actually created a WhatsApp group, and the name of that group is just chilling. He called it Mission Yamini Priya. And the whole point of this group, it was terrifyingly simple. He wanted to take the stalking to a whole new level. He used it to recruit people to help him, to get information on her every single move. When did she leave for college? What route did she take? Where did she go? He had a network of eyes watching her, feeding him every detail he needed for his plan. He even told his accomplice, a guy named Harish, what his motive was. And this quote, it just reveals the toxic, possessive mindset that was driving him. He said if Yamini could not be his, she could not be anyone else's. See, this was never about love. It was about pure, twisted control. And all of this, it all comes to a head on the day of the attack. This is the culmination of his obsession, and it's the final, catastrophic failure of a system that absolutely should have protected her. So October 16th, it was the day of her first exam. She's feeling safe again, so she's walking home alone, taking her usual route. But Vignesh and his friend, they were waiting for her. They ambushed her near those railway tracks. He attacks from behind, throws chili powder in her face to disorient her, and then he brutally assaults her. And after, believing he'd finished the job, he just flees on his bike, leaving her for dead. The police investigation thankfully moved really fast, and a huge part of that was because Yamini's father immediately told them who to look for. He named Vignesh as the prime suspect. The fact that Vignesh and his whole family had suddenly vanished from their home pretty much confirmed it. The police were able to track him down within just 24 hours. Once in custody, Vignesh confessed to everything. And his motive? It was exactly what you'd expect after hearing that chilling quote. Pure anger over being rejected, and this sick desire for revenge. He took her life for one reason and one reason only, because she said no. And this is where the final, devastating failure of the system comes to light. It turns out Vignesh had a criminal record. This wasn't his first run-in with the law. During the pandemic, he was actually arrested for impersonating a police officer to try and extort money from people. Now think about that. If someone had just checked his criminal history when Yamini's family first went to the police, would he have just gotten off with a simple written warning? It's a question that just haunts this entire case. Yamini Priya's story, it's just a tragic, devastating reminder of how dangerous obsession can be, and why it's so important to take stalking seriously. Her life was stolen because one man couldn't handle rejection, and because the system failed to see the flashing red warning signs. And it leaves all of us with a really heavy and really urgent question. When will no finally be enough?